Time to slander Liverpool. Nah, it's talking tactics, we don't slander. We present evidence to back why we're critical.
Why you could slander.
That's true. Let me show you something. I think 3 things have gone wrong for Liverpool. The players, the manager, the people above.
Yeah.
And we're going to dedicate some time to all 3 here.
Yeah.
Because it's about time that we do a proper...
I think it is.
Let's do some surgery here.
Yeah.
What is going wrong at Liverpool? I'll start with the manager. And we're going to start with this. Here's Liverpool's pressing. Tackles in the attacking third, thanks to FBref. By the way, those shots I showed you, Everton Arsenal, that was StatZone, iOS app. Go check that out. But here's their rankings in the Premier League. In the 19-20 season, tackles in the attacking third, they ranked first. The season after that, they didn't have a great season, by the way, but they ranked first for tackles in the attacking third. The season after that, they ranked first. They currently rank 16th for tackles in the attacking third. And what is the Jurgen Klopp identity, the blueprint, the thing he brought? The Gegenpress. Where the hell has it gone?
Yeah, I mean, they've been outnumbered, not even outnumbered, they've been run through in midfield constantly this season. Going through Liverpool's midfield is literally like putting a knife through butter, as the cliche is, as the saying goes. It's so easy. There's no resistance. There's nobody to enforce any sort of defence or any sort of, no, you're not going to just walk through us here. You're going to have to go out wide. We're going to force you here. We're going to force you there into areas you don't want to go. They just have the freedom of the pitch to just run through. And like you said, from the pressing from the front, it's not like as if they have the most aging attack. They've now got Nunes, young forward. They've now got Gakpo. So are these players not able to press? Did you get the scouting and recruitment wrong in that aspect? When you look at Liverpool's recruitment and you look at their signings with Edwards and the Manes and the Salahs and the Van Dijks and Alissons, and you look at the recent recruitment with Nunes and you look at Gakpo and you look at the fact that they've kind of been neglecting that midfield position, they've not gone for anyone. You have to question, you have to think what's going on behind the scenes here from above. I know there's a lack of money, people are saying money's not being spent, but Manchester United managed to get someone in on loan.
Yeah, true.
Onahi, great World Cup, goes to Marseille for 10 million euros.
Yeah.
Amrabat, there were other options out there, cheaper alternatives, but they just neglected these issues and they favoured going for a Gakpo instead, who didn't cost the world, but he hasn't done anything as of yet. And I think Liverpool, for me, they've allowed their average age to get too high for a team that is based on running, that is based on covering the ground, rock and roll, back and forth, transition. You can't do that with an aging team. You can't do that with Henderson, with Fabinho, with Milner, with all of these guys. You have to have a young team to do that.
But
they haven't got it.
Are they even trying to? That is an enormous drop-off.
The front line is nuts.
And last year they were doing it.
Yeah.
So I understand tiring, but that would surely show itself from like the 60th minute onwards. But they're getting torn apart in the 12th minute. By 12 minutes they're 2-0 down.
Yeah.
So my thing is, and this is where, and we are going to dedicate to all 3, but with Klopp, right? You're playing Harvey Elliott wide left when he's not like an in-behind runner kind of player. So you kind of got a left-footed creator on the left, which always feels a little bit awkward. You're going for a midfield that feels a little unbalanced to me. Trent's in, then he's not, and you don't really know what's going on there. And I'm just looking, it's like, okay, even forget the lineups. Run, press. Dyche did it in no time with Everton.
Yeah.
And he did it, Klopp himself, in no time with a far worse group when he went to Tottenham. Against a good Tottenham, Pochettino's Tottenham. Yeah. At the very start, his first ever game. He got them running. So what? I don't get it. Like, why have they fallen so far away from the thing that made them who they are?
He's been there for 7 years. That is a long time. And he's had the same group of players, most of them. There's been a couple new faces here and there in the last summer and the last winter. But mainly, that's the same group of players. So you're looking at the same group of players, bar a couple sales and a couple incomings. He's been very, very loyal to the Chamberlains and the Caters, etc. Now you're looking at the same manager. And then you're also, combining that with missing out on titles and missing out on big trophies, Champions League finals, lots of football played, going to all the finals last season, missing out on Champions League, Premier Leagues by a point or by, a final. And it's very difficult to motivate and cultivate that environment and keep it going. And you know how Klopp is. He's a very emotional manager. Tactically, you wouldn't say he's one of the best. You would say he's driven on his emotion. He's driven on his way of playing, which is a strict way. I don't think he has many, many different ways of playing. I think he likes his 4-3-3. I think he likes his midfielders to be not road runners, but he wants them to cover the ground, work hard, press, win the ball back, etc. Yeah. He's got his creative outlets at fullback, and he's got his goal-scoring wingers that have molded their game around a really good, technically secure Firmino all these years. And that's how he's been playing. He's overrun people in midfield, and he's had his goals coming from the forwards, and it's worked. But he doesn't try and do you have never seen him invert a fullback or change to a back three. He just doesn't do it. So he's one way or no way. The players are now falling, they're kind of losing all of their energy, and they're kind of falling off as well. And then they'll say a lack of investment as well, in terms of they're not spending enough money.
Let's touch on the behind the scenes stuff, because you just said lack of investment. They have spent money, but this is an interesting tweet from Melissa Reddy. It's all the way back on the 24th of November 2022. Worrying developments at Liverpool in critical roles. Michael Edwards' exit was sizable enough. We know Michael Edwards, a lot of credit for the recruitment, as he touched on.
Yep.
Now his successor Julian Ward and the Director of Research Ian Graham, widely viewed as the best in the business, will also depart. All as Mike Gordon takes a step back. Too much change.
Yep.
Now, I thought that was a really interesting tweet, summed up brilliantly what was going on there. You add to that, then they're potentially looking at new owners as well, and then all the change that needs to go on the pitch as well.
Yeah.
So Liverpool are just going through a massive transition. So is there a sense of, you know what, they've been amazing. They've come up against Man City, and now there's questions over how legit all that was, but they came up against a Man City that were just relentless.
Yeah.
Are they just allowed an off year? Are they allowed an off year? Sort
they've
everything
had a couple,
out at
They've
home?
had a couple off years, haven't they? But I think.
But even in the 2021
they still managed to get
year,
themselves back to third.
It was a weird season, didn't they?
A lot of injuries.
No one in stadiums, a lot of injuries, and they finished third, right?
Yeah.
So are they just allowed an off year, and then you say to Klopp, look, it's been a bad year, but think about what you want the next iteration of Liverpool to be. Let's start putting the building blocks in. You might finish 10th, and we go again.
I think Liverpool can have an off year, 100%, or they can actually see this as, no, we need to rebuild and we need to go again. And that may lead to 2 or 3 off years.
Yeah.
I think if they treat this as an off year and try to stick with a lot of these players and try and go for a title charge next year, they might find themselves falling short again, and then they're not really kicking on. Whereas if they treat this as, okay, this is the end for a lot of these players, Fabinho, what has happened to him?
Yeah.
Surely it's the end for him as well, but you've got to be ruthless and cutthroat. And Klopp's got to have to drop a lot of those existing loyalties and say, actually, no, this is not just an off year. This is a clear issue. This is not a fluke. Because an off year is like an outlier. I wouldn't look at this Liverpool team and think this is an outlier. I would say that if they continue with this team and they don't make the changes needed, this will happen next year and it will happen the year after, because their players are regressing and they're getting older and older. So they can't treat this as an off season. They have to treat this as, we need to make surgery. We need to make big changes. And it's going to take time, in terms of those players that come in, to actually find the Liverpool level if the recruitment is spot on. And obviously, from a recruitment standpoint, they've lost some people, some key people. But they can't treat this as Salah will be back next year, Fabinho will be back next year. Because if they're not, which I don't think they will be, especially Fabinho, and maybe some of those centre-backs that are extremely injury-prone, the midfield is injury-prone. If you don't treat this as what it is, you're not gonna be coming back.
Shake-up needed at Liverpool, but let's not let the players get away with it either, because this kind of stuff, I just don't think you can even look at the manager for. Now,
I'm on to Thiago today.
Are you? Fair enough.
Yeah.
I actually want to hear about that, because I recreated the first goal. Now, we touched on the manager, we touched on the people above. Now, my issue with the goal is this is very simply, I've never been coached by a world-class manager. I have never played at the level anything like this. I played football on Sunday.
Yeah.
And our centre-back won the ball and he charged up the pitch with it. And I went, you go, I'll sit. It's the most basic stuff.
Yeah.
The most basic stuff. And you've got a similar thing here where it's like, I sort of don't want to, let's see if we can actually highlight, let's do a little highlight. Player, add a player, and let's find him, Gomez, where is he? Gomez, let's highlight him in yellow. Cool, all done. Right, so Gomez is there, because he's followed, I think it's Sarabia, I think he's followed him all the way out to the, apologies to any Wolves fans watching this, why we're not crediting their players. Apologies, it is very Liverpool focused, I understand, but Wolves are doing some fantastic stuff as well with Lopetegui. But Gomez follows him all the way, Gakpo's there too, okay, they've kind of dealt with it. He's done his job, he's forced him back. Now, what annoys me is that Gomez has to sort of track back here, so he follows him, and then he has to start to run back, because no one's covered in for him.
Yeah.
So he's going back to try and resume his spot. But at this point, the damage is done. The ball goes over the top, as we'll see. Hwang with a lovely run. But Gomez is now chasing back. So he's trying to cover two positions. He's trying to stop the guy who is in the end played the ball and then get back to the person who's running onto it. And then it's an own goal from Matip. But I'm looking at it, I'm just thinking, you're not even doing your jobs for each other.
Yeah.
And when Gomez is gone, and if you're asking, well, who? I don't know. Bajcetic maybe can drop in. You know, you've got at Gakpo, Thiago, you can all rearrange yourselves. Or maybe Matip comes across, Keita, I don't know, something. But I feel a little bit sorry for Gomez because he's gone all the way there to do the defending and then no one's covered. And that is, Robertson hasn't exactly tucked in, you know, he's not dealing with anything to his left-hand side. Maybe tuck in and watch that run. And then the whole thing ultimately ends in a goal and you're sitting there watching it going, you're not even as players doing your jobs for each other.
They're sleeping, half of them. They're actually sleeping. Like, when you see the goals conceded, I'm now looking at their body language because Liverpool, Klopp, it's on emotion. This whole, like, in terms of matching them financially, City, no. In terms of even matching them sometimes technically, not always. But in terms of matching them, in terms of the emotional side of the game and the fact that they're willing to run through brick walls for Jurgen Klopp, I'm not seeing that. And when they concede their goals, I'm looking at the body language to see who's picking up this team. Who's looking around and saying, no, not today. We're going to come back from this. Everybody heads up. Let's go again. You can see who the leaders are and who aren't. I'm not seeing it in this team. When the goal's conceded, they're like, here we go again. Like, and it's like, well, if you're going to think like that, it's gonna be very much like that in your play, and it's going to speak volumes in the scoreline, and that's exactly what happened. Because Wolves were relentless. And Wolves, by the way, have played Liverpool twice already in recent times. So there's no tactical shock. And they played them at Anfield, and they should have won. So they've almost got their revenge in that aspect. But Liverpool, they're just so easy to play against. Like, they're just poor. Even in terms of doing the basics, like you said, tracking for others, they're not doing it. Midfield, I feel very sorry for the young 18-year-old. I think he's 18, maybe turned 19, but I think he's 18, Bajcetic. He's just getting rolled around at the moment. Sometimes I look at him and I look, oh, he looks like he's ready to play. And then sometimes I look at him in his duels and I think, a little bit lightweight, probably too early. But he has to play now because Fabinho's dropped off, but he doesn't get any help from Thiago defensively. He's not tracking any runners. We spoke about it with Eriksen before, and now Thiago as well. They don't track runners. This guy, defensively, he's just not involved. He doesn't care. He's like, if I've got the ball, I'm going to give you your fancy passes. I'm going to give you your no-look passes, all of this kind of stuff, and I'm going to look great. But off the ball, nah, I'm not involved. Don't even talk to me. And Keita, need I say more? I mean, we all know he's going to run out of contract at the end of the season anyway. So
and he'll probably go.
It's a mess.
That's it, everyone. Those are our, 3 reasons why we think things are going wrong at Liverpool. The manager, the pressing stats, they're so far off. If they drop from like 2nd to 5th or 6th, you go, well, okay, maybe it is in the players a little bit. But from 1st to 16th, you can't tell me you can't coach them to run more.